This is a story called The Little Monsters at Christmas. Chapter 67. The little kids go carol singing and busking with the gang to raise money for children in need. The little kids want to do something nice to raise money for charity this year, but they can't think of anything. However, one day they're out with the gang doing a bit of Christmas shopping, and everywhere they go there's donation buckets and things on sale for children in need. And little Elsie says, "I know what we could do to raise money for charity. This Christmas we could go carol singing and busking to raise money for children in need." "That's a great idea, Elsie. We could all do it and we can make our own toys and sell them." "Who thinks that's a good idea?" said Kane. Everyone agreed that this was a brilliant idea, and Kicker said, "Do you mind if we help you? You won't be allowed to go carol singing and busking on your own anyway." "No, we don't mind. The more of us there is, the more money we'll make," said Erin. That day when they went home, they told their parents what they were planning to do, and then they all headed over to Stumpy's to use his wood shed and equipment. Within a couple of hours, they'd already made 2 toys each and painted them, and they'd started on their third. Then Stumpy's mum came out and told everyone it was 9 p.m. and quitting time. The next day they all met up and went carol singing and busking in town for a few hours. Then they went door to door, carol singing for a couple of hours. Once they'd finished, they all went back to Stumpy's to work on their toys. They did this for a while, and then Stumpy's mum came out and said, "There's some snacks inside if anyone's hungry." "Oh, thanks, Mum, I'm starving," said Stumpy. Everyone looked at each other and then at Stumpy, and all together they said, "You're always starving, Stumpy." Everyone laughed and then went inside for some snacks. After a few hours, they'd all made quite a few toys between them, and all they needed to do was paint them and let the paint dry. That night, Stumpy was having a sleepover, and so was Elsie. So Stumpy's dad took the little ones to Elsie's, and the gang stayed at Stumpy's. Stumpy's parents said that they could carry on working on their toys for another couple of hours. The next day the weather was horrendous, so they all just met at Stumpy's and worked on their toys. However, by lunchtime the weather had cleared, so they all went busking and they took all of their toys that were finished with them to sell. They only went to the local shopping centre in case the weather turned bad again. They bushed for about 2 hours, and then Stumpy said, "Guys, it's tea time. I'm hungry. Can we please go and get something to eat now?" They all looked at each other and then at Stumpy, and all together they said, "You're always hungry, Stumpy." Everyone laughed, and then they went to McDonald's for their tea. Afterwards they did a bit more busking, and then they went door to door carol singing. By the end of that second night they'd already raised £500. The next day was Monday, and the kids were given permission by Mrs. Scott to sell their toys and collect donations. She also gave them permission to go over to the shopping centre and busk during lunchtime. That day they raised a further £150, but what they didn't realise is that Mrs. Scott was going round with a children in need donation box, both at work and at home. A couple of days later, some of the other kids asked if they could help, and the gang said yeah, because the more people there was, the more money they'd raised. That day after school, everyone went home, and then after tea, they all met up at the shopping centre and went busking. After about 2 hours, they all went door to door carol singing and collecting donations for children in need. When they all went their separate ways, the gang and the little kids, who now call themselves the Little Monkeys Gang, all went back to Stumpy's to make some more toys to sell. As it was a school night, the little monkeys were only allowed to stay out until 7:30 p.m, but the little monsters stayed out until 8:30 p.m. The next day school was closed because of the snow, so all the kids got wrapped up warm and went busking and carol singing. Whilst doing so, both gangs sold their toys. The small ones were £5 each, the big ones were £10 each, and the massive ones were £15 each. That night, when they counted all the money they'd raised altogether, it came to £2,000. However, they weren't finished yet, as they wanted to raise a lot more than they'd already raised. They continued to busk, carol singing and to make their toys, and they worked really hard. When they went back to school, Mrs. Scott presented them with 4 children in need buckets, and she said to them, "We've counted all this money and there's £3,000 altogether for you kids to put towards what you've already raised." This brought their total so far to £5,000. That day at lunchtime, Mrs. Scott allowed the little monkeys to leave the school premises to go busking with the older kids. That day, a writer from the Sun newspaper came over to them and told them that he thought what they were doing was amazing. He wanted to write a piece about them in the newspaper, but he wasn't allowed without their parents' permission. They all rang their parents and they gave the man their permission to write a story on them. The next day they were in the newspaper and on the 6 o'clock news. After that, loads of donations came flooding in and other kids were inspired to do the same thing. However, they wanted to continue raising money their own way by busking, carol singing and making and selling their own toys. They did this as often as they could, and by the time they'd finished, they'd raised £15,000. When they included all the donations that had come in from all over the country, the total amount came to £500,000. They were very proud of themselves, and their parents in the school were very proud of them too. The little monsters decided that they were going to continue making and selling their own toys all year round, not just to make money for themselves, but to raise money for charity. The end. Hope you like it, guys. Thanks for watching. Remember, if you're watching on YouTube, please feel free to like, share, comment and subscribe. If you're watching on Facebook, please feel free to like, comment and to go to my YouTube channel and subscribe. Thanks for watching. See you later. Love yous. Bye.